Safes, proudly selling Liberty Safes, American-made safes for all your valuables. An interactive talk show discussing self-defense, product reviews, shooting tips, safety, and more. Your calls, comments, and texts welcome at 343-0106.
You don't know if they sell pistol safes that I could put in a top drawer, like in my nightstand. I know we're not supposed to do that, but I feel a hell of a lot better with that. Don't they make a little small safe that would fit in the drawer? Mainly to keep the Are we live on video? Hey, no, you didn't give me an audio tape.
I don't have one.
Beware. Then we have to be careful what we say during the break.
No, you don't.
Okay.
No, he's going to say for the first.
All right, get ready. Don't be nervous. Mics are hot. Welcome to the Armed Alabama Show for October 29th, 2019, our Halloween edition, Conspiracy Theories. This retired circuit judge and NRA certified instructor Rusty Johnston and my partner Adam Strange, who is an NRA law enforcement instructor, is here with me. If you've never heard this show, Armed Alabama, start listening to us every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock on FM Talk 1065. We're also broadcasting tonight. We should be on Facebook and also on YouTube simultaneously, courtesy of StreamYard. And of course, on Facebook, you go to Armed Alabama FM Talk 1065, Armed Alabama Radio FM Talk 1065, and YouTube, just put in search term Armed Alabama, and you'll get there and you'll see us live on both places. Remember to visit our website, www.armedalabama.com, and we got to give you the mandatory trigger warning, especially for tonight. We want everybody to listen. However, some of the Bolshevik, socialists, snowflakes, and university professor types may experience high blood pressure and other extreme conditions. As I said, this is our conspiracy theory night. And Adam, did you know that the term conspiracy theory was invented by the CIA in the late 50s?
No, I didn't.
In order to smear people, you know, that might have had legitimate concerns about what the CIA is up to. So this is our second annual addition to this, and of course, we still welcome your calls, 251-343-0106 on any subject. But one thing that is, you know, we've all been concerned, and I think it's true, that the news, major mainstream news media, they pick up on so-called shootings or murders committed with AR-15s, you know, what they call assault rifles, which aren't. But none of them covered in Japan in July, Japan where you can't get guns, where a killer came into an animation studio west of Tokyo, poured gasoline around the outside and walked in and said, "Die," and lit it afire and killed 33 people in the no-gun, you know, peaceful country of Japan.
And you heard nothing about it on the radio.
Had to get up Reuters International.
Yeah, nothing about it.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Because I was actually shocked when you told me about it.
That's a conspiracy there to deliberately play up any deaths with a gun and not to run. I actually put an article up. It's under one of the notes, everybody, on the Facebook page that somebody wrote. I think they're a criminologist, statistician, that your chance of being killed in a shooting attack is about the same chance of being killed by lightning every year. Now, we don't crawl to the top of a flagpole in a thunderstorm. But then again, we don't hide under a bed in a thunderstorm. Just be reasonable. But they, you know, there are more people killed with head, fist, and foot, you know, murdered that way than are killed with so-called, you know, semi-automatic sporting rifles.
There's 4 people that drowned in the bathtub.
Oh, absolutely. And then not to mention falling. Folks, the most dangerous thing is climbing ladders and climbing stairs or coming downstairs. A lot of people are killed that way. What do you have for us?
But the U.S. government is not banning stairs or ladders.
That's exactly right.
So let me be more specific. Lawmakers, not the U.S. government. Lawmakers.
Because I mentioned that I thought we have a Republican legislature, or I thought it was a conservative state, And of course, the nanny state legislature decided to make it illegal to ride in your car's back seat without seatbelts on. Now, don't be mistaken. If I was in my car's back seat, I would put my seatbelt on. If anybody else was there and I was driving, I'd make them put it on. But we have more laws, less freedom. That's
what do you do if you're in the back of a pickup truck?
Well, like mine, I've got seatbelts back there. Oh, you bed of a pickup truck? Yeah, and that kind of 1.5. It's got a bench.
I don't mean the back seats. I'm talking about if you're riding in the bed.
It doesn't address that.
You and the dog and the kids.
Well, don't bring that up because a lot of states it's illegal to ride in the bed of a pickup, and I don't know how we could take our immigrant workers to their slave jobs every day if you couldn't put them in the back of the pickup truck.
That's how we got around as a child.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. But we've got a lot to talk about.
There's no seat belts on a school bus.
Well, that's just, and you know why? Money. I think that's the total reason. One thing that I'll just throw out because it's about the anniversary is Justice Anton Scalia. There are a lot of facts that indicate, something strange was going on. First of all, the owner of the ranch where he was died or was killed was named John Poindexter, who was Reagan's national security advisor and convicted in Iran-Contra and still alive. That's kind of odd. I doubt it's the same person, but he calls the sheriff at about noon, and the sheriff finally gets out there, or the deputy, and looks at him, and then the sheriff calls the county judge, who pronounced him dead over the phone, and then by midnight, 12 hours later, they finally have him at the funeral home, ready to ship him off. No autopsy, nothing.
So Arkansas.
Yeah, and the family's wishes, I guess. But I think we had a public interest in knowing whether the man was murdered or not.
He wasn't buried at sea.
Well, I don't know, but no, he was shipped up, and I doubt him being hardcore Catholic that he was cremated. I'm sure he was buried. So what you got for us?
Well, of course, this is our conspiracy theory show. So if you have a conspiracy theory or you want to comment on the ones that we're going to bring up tonight, by all means, give us a call here at the studio, 251-343-0106. You can call or text to that number. Don't forget, we are simulcasting on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel, Armed Alabama, and our Facebook page is Armed Alabama Radio, FM Talk 106.5. And when you go to each one of those sites, please like, save, and follow, and that way you'll be notified every time that we post a new video or content or ad.
I might point out too that people can watch the old shows on YouTube, but they can go to SoundCloud. You can just put that in as one word, SOUNDCLOUD. You get there and just type in the search term Armed Alabama, and you get to our archives there. We've got 180 shows, I think it is.
Wow.
You can download every one of them if you want and put them on the drive and listen to the car or whatever you want to do. Ads are cut out. Well, the first year the ads may still be in it, but after that the ads are cut out. And so they're to the point. You usually kind of describe what's in it unless it's a show that we just taking open calls, which are a lot of them.
And you can also listen to our previous show here on the FM Talk 106.5 website on the podcast section and Armed Alabama there. So with conspiracy theories, I'm sure some are going to start up with the military action that took place over the weekend. Trump ordered a Delta Force, which is the Army Ultra Special Forces, to take out ISIS leader. Yeah, the best of the best. They took out ISIS leader al-Baghdadi.
Now I want to ask you a question. Had you ever heard of that name before?
Yes, I actually had. Yep,
I will tell you.
Only because I was doing research or whatever a few months ago. So anyway, yeah, he was eliminated. Al-Baghdadi was taken out. So he thought he was big and bad, but he wasn't big and bad like the Trump Baghdadi.
Washington Post said that he was a Islamic scholar.
Have you noticed
and rapist?
Have you noticed the news anchors who are so proud of themselves because they've practiced saying that name hundreds of times?
I thought it was a joke picture too. When I saw it, I thought it was somebody in costume.
He was no match for the big bad Trump Baghdadi. That's what I can say.
That's it. Bad daddy meets Baghdadi.
Well, I'll tell you,
the Mac Daddy.
If you want to know, look up and see what he did to a young lady named Mueller. He worked for either Doctors Without Borders or one of them. It's
oh my God,
to put on
it's just terrible. terrible.
Remember,
what
folks,
happened.
251-343-0106. We're on YouTube live right now in Armed Alabama or on Facebook at fmtalk1065.com. I'm sorry,
I wanted to add
Armed Alabama
another
Radio.
invitation.
Yeah.
If you have personally visited the TV studio on the back lot of the Manned Space Flight Center in Houston, Texas, if you visited
Yeah,
the
that's where they
studio
filmed the
where
moon
they
landing.
faked the Apollo moon landings,
Yes, I have.
please call in.
He just took my thunder.
Sorry about that.
I mean, you're jumping ahead here. We have our
I talked to a man who swore that his second cousin, twice removed, had actually been there. So
That'll be some of the things we talk about when we get back from this short break, folks. We'll be back with more of Armed Alabama in 2 or 3 minutes. Can you turn me down a little?
yeah, you're on.
All right, welcome back to Armed Alabama. This is our Halloween conspiracy theory show, and we've got several. And I judged, how many did you have? I came with like 12.
Oh,
10 or 12.
I don't have. Well, one of them, because we listened to a show right before we came in there a few years ago, Chemtrails.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And of course, we would call them contrails. But I tell you, once you start noticing, especially when it gets cold, you'll see sometimes a checkerboard pattern in the sky. And one of the stories is they're putting out something to reflect heat in case there really is global warming, which I think is a big conspiracy theory.
Well, that's on my list as far as conspiracy theories. Of course, they changed global warming, Judge, to
climate change.
And
we know that's true. Do you know that there's 15% more plant growth than there was 20 years ago? That's what extra CO2 does. That tell you, they're crazy, and they would wreck the economy on some pie in the sky nonsense like that.
Yes, with a carbon cap and trade.
Yep. And we've had it 50,000 years ago. It was higher than now, and I don't think there were any SUVs driving around.
So the first one I have, Judge, is black helicopters.
Oh yeah. They're really, when you look at them, their reports, some of the helicopters, they're not Black Hawks or whatever. They are ones Hueys and all from the 60s. And it's really weird, the reports, which indicate they may not be structurally real, but people are seeing the things.
Yep. So that was big back in the 60s. And of course, it's kind of made a reemergence in the late 1990s.
With Mel Gibson's movie,
Yeah.
Conspiracy Theory.
That was a good
especially
movie.
when it switched on the silent mode.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that was a good movie there.
but black helicopters kind of go along with the Men in Black, and then in England they had the Phantom. I think she was called the Phantom Babysitter, Phantom Daycare Worker. That supposedly would come door to door trying to snatch children, and that if children go missing, and that was a Phantom they never could find. So that kind of goes along with that.
Yeah, here's an odd one, Judge. New Coke. Do you remember
Oh,
that?
yeah.
When
Yeah.
Coke came out with the
And
New
I
Coke.
frankly liked it better. Yeah,
You're about the only one.
yeah, I think I was.
And of course, the always tried and true assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963.
Oh yeah.
So there was an author that said there was over 1,000 books have been written about the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
And we still don't have all of the papers released.
No.
Trump had his chance, and he wouldn't go against the national security state, which he should, because they were trying to, get him out of office. But that's still a strange one. One of the stories on that is that Lyndon Johnson, of course, I think he probably is the one that did it. He's probably behind the conspiracy theory, but he told people that they got evidence that the Soviet Union was actually behind it, and knew they had to keep that secret, because if it got out, that the American public would demand we attack the Soviet Union. He said we couldn't, stand another world war. But it was probably to cover his own tracks, because he was a bad dude.
Who was that?
Lyndon Johnson.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, but that's what Johnson was putting out.
Well, another part of that is a bizarre theory is that Woody Harrelson, the actor, his father was the man in the grassy knoll.
Wow. Well, I tell you, the tramp, he self-admitted on his deathbed, was, remember E. Howard Hunt of Watergate fame? He told his son in some tape recorder that he was the tramp that was on the bench there. Now, he was a CIA operative and all during that time.
Wow.
That's pretty strange. It's kind of like the Poindexter showing up again.
Well, I mean, there's so much that goes along with the assassination conspiracy theory. There is, the magic bullet and how the bullet bounced around and ricocheted.
Well, and you get to that same, the lone crazy conspirator. No, nothing else to look for here. No need to investigate further. And how they basically got his body out of Dallas in a few hours. And originally after Oswald was arrested, some of the intake reports that that he was suspected, among others, in the death of the president, blah blah blah. And at that time, the crime, as it normally should be, was murder in the state of Texas. Now they've made it a federal crime. Like that's going to change anything. But obviously he was involved. But he said in a press conference, "I'm the patsy." When all that was going on.
Said that?
Yeah.
Well, we will never know, because he was turned right around and shot by Jack
Ruby.
Jack Ruby.
Who then contracted a fatal cancer that killed him, right after his trial.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Ruby's thing, his whole story was incredible. That he went to the post office. Then he went to the police station when this was going on. Left his dog in the car, and he just goes in just to check out what's happening. Happens to have his gun, and he said he just saw Oswald and he shouldn't live.
Here's the thing that does it for me. What are the odds that Lee Harvey Oswald would have been hired several months before Kennedy's visit to go to work at the Texas School Book Depository, where it just so happens that President Kennedy's motorcade route was going to go right by that area of town, or that building? How do you explain
I kind of
that?
think it's just like the Scalia case.
I have a
They
feeling
figured-
there were assassins in several different places, depending on, and not knowing what route it was going to be.
Well, they expected that. They were concerned about Dallas just because they didn't like Kennedy in Texas, and they were shocked that he got such a warm welcome. And but the whole thing is kind of strange. But most of when President Garfield was assassinated at the American Exposition in Buffalo, New York. I mean, that was a so-called anarchist, and the exposition, they had one tent, Adam, it was American Indian culture. They got Geronimo out of the Oklahoma State Penitentiary, brought him there, and he put on a show. They also rounded up every stray dog from the animal shelters, and he cooked them. That was traditional Indian fare, and they cooked the dogs for the people that it. I mean, the whole thing was really strange.
That is bizarre.
And they thought McKinley 3-4 days later, he was going to live weak, and then it's like he turned. That guy was tried, convicted, and executed within 60 days. Because McKinley lingered for like 2 weeks, I think it was. Within 60 days. I would give you his name, but I can't pronounce it.
Swift justice.
Yeah, exactly. But another one. Remember cold fusion?
Oh,
remember,
yeah.
A couple of weeks after the two, I can't remember the scientist's name. I can't believe it's been 30 years, but they basically left the country and went to Italy, continuing the project. A little known story that showed up in Nature, and National Geographic repeated it. Cold fusion remains elusive, but these scientists may revive the quest. Basically, they said, yeah, we can confirm it now. But if you Google cold fusion and don't make it kind of date specific, it'll give you all the stories, fraud, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of.
Of course, there was a good movie surrounding all that, The Saint.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That was one of the plot gimmicks for The Saint was cold fusion.
Yeah, well, that was probably, the power industry or the oil companies, because, they have bought up carburetors that run on water, and they got them in a big warehouse because they got to keep the price of oil contained. That's a fact.
Of course, right along with that is the New World Order.
Yeah.
That's another
I'm kind of afraid we got it.
Conspiracy.
Yeah, I'm kind of afraid that's come true. And, Bush,
within
the
globalist community.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he basically says it. And then, our culture has changed so much since, well, let's say the new millennium. It is hard to believe that the NSA is tape recording every telephone call and nobody seems to care.
Well, who's going to listen to all of them?
Well, that isn't the point,
Oh, there's algorithms that listens to all of them.
It's the thing that
looking for
search
search
words.
words.
If a woman says, I have nothing to hide, well, I don't either, but I don't want somebody to listen. When the church committee had hearings, right after Nixon left office, they were all alarmed because 160 people, American citizens, had been illegally wiretapped.
You're talking about Frank Church.
Yes, 160 people they were talking about. Well, we've got everyone in the country. And that was done on Vice President Cheney's orders. I mean, this just, and that's where the courts really, they should have, every challenge to that, they just have not entertained. And it is outrageous.
Should we be willing to give up some of our privacy so that we can intercept communications between terrorist groups here and abroad? Maybe?
You can do that under the law, but if they're in the country, they're deemed by the law to be an American person. That's citizens, legal immigrants, anybody in the country. And no, I don't think so, because I'm not convinced. The experts read Bill Binney. You can go to the cato.org and look at a video in the last few months, him on there. But he says all of this has produced way too much information that nobody can get through. It's just they had to build a special facility in Utah to put it in. So, I don't, that's what they always say, it's going to save your lives. Well, that's all scare tactics. I think we were fine. It's like Defense Secretary Simpson said in 1920, gentlemen don't read other gentlemen's mail. And that was pretty good then. Folks, 251-343-0106 here at Armed, Alabama. Give us a call on Conspiracy Night. We'll be back after this short break.
You forgot to say please.
That's Arnold in the Terminator, and it is apropos today because this is, you could arguably say, the 50th anniversary of the start of the internet. A UCLA professor sent a message to another computer in somewhere in San Francisco.
Wasn't he the guy that said, "Come here, Watson, I need you"?
No, that was Bell.
Oh.
But Arnold maybe should have gone back to there and destroyed that little test, and we wouldn't be having people addicted to their smartphones, and we'd still have books and magazines and a newspaper. All that the internet has killed. I'm going to give you one Halloween conspiracy theory. I won't go into all of them, but everybody thinks that if you don't know whose house you're going to, there's a possibility of your candy being poisoned. That all comes from a 1973 case in Houston, Texas, where a man deviously thought to kill his own son, who he had life insurance on, but the son and his friend shared the candy. That I think the son may have died. But there's never been another case of poison. It all goes back to that. And it's all this. This is not a stranger danger. There've never been the razor blades. All those reports you can trace back to Chinese candy because they, I don't know why they're exporting any food to us. I thought they didn't have any food. I guess to make money. But all of it has stuff in it. Remember when the Chinese dog food killed all the dogs over here? So, but there's no danger of being poisoned by Halloween candy. I mean, it's just crazy. But anyway.
If you're just now joining us tonight, of course, this is our Halloween conspiracy theory show. So glad you can join us. If you have a theory or conspiracy theory for us here at Armed Alabama, give us a call at station 251-343-0106.
And if you can't get through, we know that there's some government agency who has shut off our incoming phone lines.
The NSA.
Well, they say you can be talking and you bring up something they don't like, and like this, and you click and you have technical problems.
Oh, how many times have we been on?
If you can't get through, that's why.
Yep.
Well, how many times have we been on Facebook or YouTube and all of a sudden our feed
Technical difficulty.
Yeah.
Well, this one is not a
feed get cut.
This is not a conspiracy. Well, maybe it is. Texas Senator John Cornyn, who is supposed to be with us on guns, conservative Republican, well, he's introduced in the Senate a bill that is going to protect us all from mass shootings. I guess he's in a re-election bid out there. And first of all, we don't need any federal laws. If state wants to pass laws, that's fine. But here we go again, him pandering to those people when, as I told you before, we got more people killed every year with hands and fists or falling down steps than are killed with semi-automatic firearms. It's crazy. I mean, most people that are killed with a firearm are killed with a pistol. That's the gun of choice. Y'all all remember when they were when they successfully, it's Saturday night specials that basically banned foreign imports of guns under certain status. But just ridiculous. In fact, we got Leroy and Sims on the phone. Let's take it. Hey, Leroy. Have you ever heard, you'll be watching some TV show and it'll be in North or whatever, and they'll say Leroy. And I'm thinking, what are they saying? Go ahead. Yeah, by the so-called, he was Russian and allegedly his brother, and it was very weird. Oh, yeah. And yep. Oh yeah. I guess he didn't do it. And people's attention span is so short, nobody ever even remembers that. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, remember when they had one of them, he was hiding in a boat in somebody's backyard, and they forcibly searched everybody's apartment in the building, which was outrageous. And the whole thing, him hiding in a boat, the whole thing is just crazy. But it justified, we need more laws to stop those kind of things, don't we? Yep. Yep. You need to call more often. You're right on that wavelength.
And,
Yeah.
and Leroy, let me say, you're very brave to call because you know somebody's listening.
Oh, you know, I think it's better to have your head up, and if you go public, then if you have a mysterious accident, it looks pretty strange, you know. Yeah. 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 Very, very strange. But it just shows more, we need more laws.
That's a good one, Leroy. Thank you for calling in.
Call
Appreciate
us again, okay? There you go.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
That's
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Leroy. Judge, we were talking earlier. We have a listener on Facebook. John commented, Ben Franklin said, anyone who is willing to give up an ounce of freedom for a pound of security deserves neither.
That's exactly, and he's got the quote right, as I recall, because a lot of people say liberty.
Yeah.
He's got it right. I mean, this is, Madison said, you know, we have arms here in Europe. They've always used as a pretext, starting with Rome, that they're about to have a war, so they need to, you know, get the army ready, and that's on that excuse they seized everybody's firearms. I mean, he wrote that in 1789.
Okay, if you just now joined us, we are having our Halloween conspiracy theory show, which is this kind of an annual event now. This is our third show, I think.
Yep.
So my next conspiracy theory, Judge, is extraterrestrials, UFOs, and Area 51.
Oh, they are here.
So a really good one along that lines of extraterrestrials is Zechariah Ascension.
Oh, yeah.
And the Anunnaki from Sumerian mythology. So if you're familiar with the ancient Sumerians, they believed in gods, and they were called the Anunnaki, who they said actually came down from the sky. So it's quite
and
interesting.
Enslaved us all and made us work in their gold mines.
Well, yes, exactly. But according to Zechariah Ascension, is that the Anunnaki actually created humanity from existing creatures that was on the earth.
Well, see, that's my theory about UFOs. I don't doubt people see things. I think, though, there's some kind of demonic force that masquerade. If somebody showed up on your front porch, you know, with horns, and he was red and had a pitchfork and a tail, you'd say, well, that's the devil. But when they show up in spaceships and all that, lots of people have about turned it to religion. We got James from Mobile on the line there. Hey, James. Yeah, that's right. And have you noticed in the past year, though, there have been UFO, the Army has acknowledged investigating UFOs, the Navy's, it's like they've done a complete 180. And I think that's because they're getting ready. My theory is if a UFO huge one appeared over, let's say, Jerusalem and said, like Sitchin, we created you, we changed the DNA of, whatever creature 10,000 years ago. Most of these scientists and all these intellectual snobs that don't believe in the real God would say, well, that makes sense. And they'd fall for it immediately. you know, one of the reasons I say that, you know, one of the reasons I say that is, you know, why, let's say they are, you know, extraterrestrials. Why would so many be coming to the planet, you know, every night? And, you know, when people report communicating with them, back in the 30s, they said they came from Venus. First, they said they came from the moon, and then it became obvious nobody lived on the moon. They said they came from Venus. And then it was Mars, and now it's
Uranus.
you know, well, no, it's out. I can't think of the star system, but you know, so they're lying to people, but they're kind of keeping up with their technology. You know, they've changed forms over the years too. They were cigars. Yep. Yeah.
Well, and what about the videos from the International Space Station?
You know, you're right on that.
Saturn V.
That, you know, a few years ago, they proposed going back to the moon. They said it would take $36 billion to develop a rocket, and it would take 10 years. And well, how did we do this in the 60s? You know, I mean, it's amazing. Yep. No. No. Yep. Oh, yeah. You must be against national security. Hey, we got to run, James. Thank you for calling. We're at hard break. Appreciate it. Talk to you next time. We'll be right back with more of Armed Alabama after this message.
us got away with it.
traveling
They
away
said
from
they want to measure like every year an inch.
Now you boys, put those guns down. Say what? Well, we're not just gonna let you walk out of here. Who's we? Smith, Wesson, and me.
Isn't it nice to hear somebody saying sucker instead of the word we normally hear now?
Yes,
Which I'm sick of.
So if you're just now joining the show, we are having our annual Halloween conspiracy theory show. And of course, just before we went to the break, we were talking about extraterrestrials, UFOs, and of course, Area 51. So of course, they just had the storm Area 51, where everybody was supposed to amass.
Not enough people
Whatever
showed up.
happened to that?
Well, they didn't have a lot of people, and so I think the organizers figured we don't have enough people, then we're more likely to be shot. You know,
Did the Air Force show off their guns? Is that
I don't
what
think they even went to try to storm it. I think there were like 200 people, and they wanted like 20,000. And 20,000, you probably wouldn't get shot.
Yeah, but they didn't have enough motel
If
rooms
you've got
or
200.
restaurants to handle 100,000.
So
Oh, those kind of people would stay at hotels.
they ought to know. You got to go to Dulce, New Mexico. That's the real secret base where they have the aliens and Americans working on these terrible type human experimentation in the mountain there. That's the real
Is that
place.
where they
Dulce, New
abducted-
Mexico.
They,
Yep.
when they abduct
Yep.
people, they take them there.
Yep. And some of these that have gone missing, you know, with David Pilates, that's where they wound up.
Oh yeah, David Pilates with the
Missing 411.
411. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you haven't read those books, it's quite interesting. And
Yeah.
what that is where people go missing within national parks,
And
which is
And
crazy.
sometimes they're found 15, 18 miles away. Is a 4-year-old boy without shoes on. He's dead.
Mhm.
Now, how did he get there? I mean, it's just, and of course, the Park Service, he's had trouble prying any information out of them, which you
Well,
think.
they said they don't keep records.
Yeah.
How can you not keep
And it's
records of
funny.
people who go amiss within your park or die of mysterious circumstances?
Well, he finally got some records. That's what's so interesting that proves. And he talked to an investigator who called him and said, why do you want the information? That's one question you can't ask on the Freedom of Information Act request. But they denied it, and the guy called him, why do you want it?
Yeah.
And,
Hey,
you know,
I remembered the big conspiracy that we hadn't mentioned yet, and that is the Bermuda Triangle.
yeah.
All of these planes disappeared and the ships have gone missing.
Well, they're actually going
without
through
a trace.
a time warp back to, I think, the 30s. They kind of figured it out because, you know, they had those planes that disappeared and all.
Yeah. What flight
So,
was
yeah,
that?
yeah. It was a whole squadron.
Yeah, I
Uh,
can't
the
remember.
World War II
Yeah.
fighter planes.
But, you know, it's funny. They hadn't given that much play. I guess there's newer ones. But we still got Fluoridation, which is mentioned by Colonel Jack Ripper in the, you know, we played the sound clip a lot from Dr. Strangelove. He said, man, Drake, have you ever thought what they're doing to us? They're putting this in our water. Babies drink, we drink, blah, blah. And, you know, they've looked at all that, and it basically, yeah, it helped certain age children, but other than that, it doesn't do anything. And they have shoved that down everybody's throat, literally. Now, I'm not talking about chloridation. That's a good idea, so we don't get typhus and everything else.
Yeah.
But fluoridation,
Being
most
fluoride.
yeah, they put it.
But it's
They're
all
thinking
in
about putting it
toothpaste.
in milk, Mandrake.
It's in toothpaste and mouthwash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just without your knowledge, they're introducing this foreign substance. I mean,
So the other one is the fake moon landings. That's the other conspiracy, is that moon landings were fake.
if y'all can find it, there's a good debate on an old Coast to Coast when Art Bell was hosting, probably 1997, between Richard C. Hoagland, Face on Mars guy, and he has great facts to debunk. You know, we didn't go to the moon. While there's just somebody who's, you know, probably believes in a flat Earth too, saying we couldn't have gone. Which, you know, there's just a lot of facts considering you can find their hardware on the moon. You know, and they come up with somebody, well, that was put there by whatever.
Well, people like Jodrell Bank in England, and you know the Russians were listening with directional antennas pointed at the moon,
If they found out it
they
was a
were
fake,
listening to the astronauts talking to each other.
it would have
up
been
there.
a PR bonanza for the communists
Oh,
if they
sure.
found out
The
that.
Soviet Union would have never let us got away.
And we keep secrets so well in this country. I'm glad we don't anymore, but at one time when we needed to, we couldn't keep the secrets. And I just considering we only went 4 times land, or maybe it's 5, and we just abandoned it. That's kind of typical of what we would do: spend a lot of money and get there, then okay, we're going to do something else.
By Apollo 18, it was getting redundant, they said.
Well, that's what they said. Nobody was interested in it anymore.
Well, too, is Russia, who tried their best, but they just could not develop technology and have the funds to be able to send manned missions to the moon.
They had so many people killed in their space flight program. We never knew about exploding rockets and everything.
I'm talking about light up the launch pad 2 or 3 times.
And they would always land in the middle of Siberia, where we land in the ocean, because nobody could see them land. So if something happened, you would know about it. That's kind of typical. I noticed today there was a poll: 30% of millennials said they would vote for a communist, 70% for a socialist. And I thought, well, we've got a socialist country now. We certainly don't have a capitalist country. If you come back from the 60s or 50s and looked at our economy and all, you'd be shocked at what we put up with. You would think the communists should take it over.
Now, going back to the UFO thing, I've seen postings on the internet where we'd be looking at video taken from the cameras aboard the International Space Station, and some little blip would come up over the horizon, and mysteriously the cameras would go off.
There you go. Well, it's like the face on Mars too. The only pictures they had of it were the lowest quality. I don't know whether there's something or not, but it was worth kind of checking out. I don't know. We still have the answer to that, but and it's our tax money doing it. It'd be one thing if we weren't being taxed to death for it, but we are.
Edward Snowden of CIA fame, NSA fame, actually just published his memoirs, and he stated that there are no aliens. Because he searched the NSA and CIA databases, and there were no mentions of aliens.
When Clinton was elected, didn't he ask if
he said he was going to get to the bottom of it, and then later when questioned,
never heard what he found.
Well, I'm sure they told him to take a hike, and then they set him up with Lewinsky, probably to take him out because he was asking about
his mind off of the aliens.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that's why all the alien spaceships look like
Zeta Reticuli. That's where they're from now.
Careful, Adam.
That's maybe why all the spaceships look like cigars.
Yeah, it could be. But they've morphed. Now they tend to be huge black triangles.
Yep.
But they were straight, saucers. The guy out in Washington State that saw the big Kenneth Arnold, he didn't ever say they were flying saucers. He said they were flying as if a saucer was skipping across water. And they just turned it into a flying saucer. But it's funny, the ones that started appearing to people look like flying saucers.
Oh, you mentioned the Navy earlier, but the Army and Navy coming forth with different things. One of the newest things that the Navy come out that stated was the Nimitz sightings.
Oh, yeah. So let me tell you, we're almost to the end. Folks, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We've almost got 1,400 subscribers. We're live there. You can watch this later on tonight, and you can also go to SoundCloud and download all of our archives for almost 4 years. And we thank you for the people that call. We're on every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, and we'll see you next week on Armed Alabama.